Hello, and welcome to Becoming Relentless. I am your host, Tom Alvarez, and I'm excited to have you with me today as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's not the same that I've been doing this whole time where I do my research, I give you my findings, and I back it up with all the research that I've done with my references like I do all my articles. Today's episode, it's going to be more just about me talking to you about my experience, about who I am, what I'm going through, and how I'm getting through it. It's based on my experience of the last year and a half, maybe even more at this point. So the sound's gonna be a little bit off because I just shot it on the video with my iPhone. I didn't have this microphone that I'm talking to you right now. So I'd love for you to give me your thoughts on this topic. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me, how did this resonate with you? Are you going through the same thing? Let me know in the comments. Without further ado, here we go. So, when I did the research recently about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it started to bring up quite a few things to mind with regards of all the shit that I've been going through. When I lost my job back in November 12th of last year, I went through denial for a little bit, and that ended up being the turmoil that started me to go down the downward spiral. And that denial happened way before I lost my job. I would say probably in beginning or about quarter of the way into last year, I started to feel that denial of like, nah, this can't be. And I started getting very offensive, and my ego was being bruised quite a bit because I did not want to accept the fact that there is a possibility that my career could be ending. It could be, and it could. I mean, I'm not saying that it has, but it could. And my ego started feeling a little bit bruised by it because I spent a lot of years trying to do this and nothing was working. I was not reaching my goals. I was not really obtaining that title that I've been after and that responsibility that I've been after. Even though that a job is still just a job, I was still struggling with that. And that was something that I didn't want to let go of it until some changes began to happen within the company that I was working for that I started turning from denial to anger. And the anger where it was just like I was not going to give up. I didn't want to let go of it. I just did not want to let go of that identity that I had created for myself and that goal that I was trying to pursue. And as the anger started to just creep in and just really take the best of me, I started to bargain with the situation and with me and say, oh, maybe if I do this instead, or if I try something new or learn something new, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to save my job. I'm going to become a project manager. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, all to save my job. And I wanted to do all these things for that. But when all that stuff started happening, I didn't see a lot of result in it all. So I fell into a depression. That depression led to months of being in there. And then once I lost my job fully, I just became to accept it, that that's how things were going to be. So by losing the job, it took away that safety that I felt because I was having income coming in. Yeah, I got a bonus and I got a severance at the end of it all. But at some point, that money was going to run out. And that's where I am now. And the total fear of being broke, it's irrational because thankfully my wife still works and she's busting her ass, and she's definitely providing for us now while I go through this. And I could not do this without her. There's no doubt in my mind I could not do this without her. So as I sit here just focusing on reading about the psychology of stress and learning more about the human psychology, it's just I've become to accept that this is really what life is all about, right? We have moments. We have moments where we're doing fantastic, everything is great. Even if they're short, we still have those moments, right? Where nothing in the world matters other than what you're doing right then and there. You're in the moment. You're loving every minute of it. You're sharing it with people that you love, or even if it's just playing a video game or having a cup of coffee or something simple. Even if it's just that, you're still in that moment, being present, being happy. But then there are other moments where everything falls apart. Everything just is shit. Nothing makes sense. You kind of go through this cycle all over again. When you're going through those long periods of time, you go through the anger, the depression, the denial, the bargaining, and then I'm not saying them in order, but you get the idea. And when you finally get down to acceptance, which is where I am now, yet again. And I just don't think there is a system for everything. But everything comes in stages. Everything is just comes at us with this glimpse of hope. And although they may not last, but they still come back at some point. It just takes us longer to get there at times, but we get there nonetheless. The best way that I could relate to this now is back in 2008, I lost my job. Not my job. Of course, I'm talking about work, but not my job. I lost my dad. And having lost my dad was probably one of the hardest things that I had ever gone through at the time. And still till this day, still is one of the hardest things I've gone through, if not the hardest thing that I've gone through. Having lost him was devastating to me. And I went through the same process, the denial, the anger, the bargaining, and then finally the acceptance. And do I have my moments where I think about him and I miss him? Absolutely. They just gotten better with it. And that's when the acceptance has come in. So I say all this because we need to be more mindful and more aware of our own thoughts and our own stresses and our own life, When we're awake, our conscious mind takes over, but when we are asleep, the unconscious mind takes over. And kind of, at the same time, the unconscious mind is also the one that drives the conscious mind too, and we just don't notice it because of that programming that we've gone through it. But if you just take a moment just to sit there and be still and just be present and enjoy life for what it is, regardless of what the outcome is. Life is a series of goods and bads and ups and downs. It's never going to be easy. The only thing that ever gets better, it's not the situation, but how we perceive that situation to be. According to Viktor Frankl, which is he's a psychiatrist that spent time in a Nazi concentration camp as a prisoner and a survivor. He realized that we are simply defined as the search for the meaning of life. He called that logotherapy. When we're trying to do the search, and a lot of us spend a lot of time just really just trying to get by and trying to get through, and we make mistakes and we fall down, we get back up and try again. Some of us stay down longer. But when we really think about all of the series of events that we've gone through in life, all of the things that we have endured as we've gone through all these years, and we look back at our lives, we realize that we've either gone through the same situation that we're going through right now, or we've gone through worse. And it's just such a mind fuck to think about your life and our lives when we go through this, that we get so focused on the bad things that are happening now, but we often don't look at the good things that are also happening with it. And in talking about Viktor, the psychiatrist, he defined something called tragic optimism, which is where I'm feeling that I'm at right now. And that is the ability to turn suffering into a meaningful experience and learn from this experience with a positive perspective on life's events. Think about all of the horrible things that have happened, say, in the last, 30 years, right? Think about one of the most horrific ones that I went through is, of course, the pandemic aside, of course, is the 9/11, September 11th. That was a horrible, horrible time. And I lived up in New York when that happened, and I experienced the chaos. I experienced it all, and I noticed it all, and it was just horrible. It was a horrible time. But once we reflect on those moments, there's no doubt in our minds that it was a horrific time in our nation's history. But at the same time, the way we came together to help each other along the way, and I'm not talking about the government, I'm talking about the rest of us, society as a whole. We all came together to help each other along the way. Then, there were many other times that has happened in other, the Oklahoma bombing and all those other things, and many others, right? But the one thing that we always do is we always come back and help each other out. And we get through it with each other. We get through it together. And that is tragic optimism. That no matter what happens in life, no matter what we go through as individuals, as a collective, as a society, as a world, we eventually come back and help each other out. I could not be here right now sharing this with you if it wasn't because of the people in my life, my close friends, my wife. She's been doing so many things to help us out. And I don't think that I will ever be able to thank her enough for it. She has been incredible. And I would love to give her the world. So, but thanks to her, I'm still here. It hasn't been easy, but I'm starting to feel hopeful again. I'm absolutely loving learning about psychology and why we do what we do. It's become, it's been a hobby of mine for many years, but now it's my purpose. Whether I help folks on a one-on-one basis, or do I help them on a platform, through a platform, or help them with software or in the design process of creating an application that helps them all that stuff could be a possibility. But I know that at the end of the day, as long as I'm helping others be better and help them get through life, that would be a day complete for me. Because I only wished that I had somebody like me a while ago. Now I'm grateful that I have people that in my life that help me get through things. But I want to be there for others as well. I will never tell anyone what they should do. I will always share what I've done. I cannot tell someone how they should do something. They have to figure out on their own. And I tell this to my wife all the time. So I know this was a different episode altogether, but I wanted it to be a little bit different. I wanted it to be a little bit more something from the heart. And something that's a little bit more meaningful about who I am. Because for a while there, I felt like I was being a bit of a fraud. Because I would tell people and read all these articles and do all these things that I was learning, but a lot of it I was not applying to myself. I've had the knowledge for a long time, but I've never really applied it. It wasn't up until last year where I started to apply it. And here I am being smacked with another problem once again. And it's just the fear of losing it all. The fear of my ego being bruised. But at the end of the day, I have everything that I need. That's it. And all I need is my friends and my wife. And I'm always going to have that. Do I wish I could provide more right now? Absolutely. I have always been the provider. But like my wife said, now it's my turn to provide for us. So yeah, I'm pretty fucking lucky. So I think I've gone on long enough. But yeah, that's life in a nutshell, right? Our ups and downs. But like my old man used to say, hey, you're gonna fall down. You're gonna hurt. You're gonna cry. But as long as you get back up again the next day, that's what matters. And he did say that. Not in those exact words, but he did say that. So I'll leave you with that. Go towards life with tragic optimism, always. Doesn't matter how difficult it's gonna get. If you wanna cry, cry. If you wanna get angry and depressed, whatever, fuck it, go through it all. Don't avoid it. Because at some point, you will reach the tragic optimism. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need a little extra inspiration. And remember, every small step you take is a step towards a better you. I can't wait to chat with you next time about more self-development tips and practical ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. Until then, be kind to yourself, and remember, your thoughts don't define you. You do. Onward.